Hello there, my little crepe Suzettes. This is about take 5 to 7 somewhere in here. I've been trying to do this video for a while and haven't been quite able to pull it off. And maybe because it's so different in tone from a great many of the other videos I try to do that are hard hitting and, you know, talking about the truths that don't get a lot of light or enough rather, or, my own unique perspective on things that doesn't seem to be shared by others who may have similar struggle. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Um, Here I am. I'm started. It's a rough year in the family and stuff like that. Couple of family deaths, but since I guess the end of May and continuing on to today, I'm still in the happiest phase of my life. I don't mean to take away. I know there's been a lot of death. People have lost loved ones. It's hard times with the pandemic and, where everybody stands with that, how everybody's been affected. And, um, you know, the community I'm part of has been hit very hard. So I don't mean to, rub my great good fortune in anybody's face. But I think given why I have such, I'm an open book in not in every respect, but many respects of my emotions, how I feel about things. I think it's important to share the other side that, I'm pretty close to living my dream right now. I felt for a long time, many years, that I was, being sort of cheated out of life. That I certainly didn't have the worst life of anybody, and the number of people I would not trade places with, but I just didn't think I was really getting a fair shot for the effort that I put into, juxtapose that against, you know, many of my other peers, many of whom were not disabled, that could, essentially have relationships, get paid, getting laid, getting friends made, better professional opportunities and friendship opportunities. Professional could always be better in the sense that, I could always have more money because by Western standards I'm very poor. But that's kind of, while it is one of the big three, it's the last. So this past year, my film, after many years, legitimately losing my mind during the early process of shooting and having psychosis, just like being in no shape to do it for some of it, persevered. A lot of help. Thank you to all the participants and the crew for making one of my big dreams come true there. And then, you know, as not even as a result of the film, but just the film is finished on May 18th, and then May 22nd, um, I meet Sam, and you know, 20 years of being single, maybe 24 years of struggling when I first felt the suicidal depression in 1997. Thing is, you know, kind of in a way makes all that pain worth it because even if I had these other opportunities back in the day, um, if it meant that I wouldn't be with Sam today, then it ain't worth it. I'd rather be with Sam. If I had some, other maybe dalliances or whatever that ended, still enabled me to be with Sam at this time that I am, but I can't, I don't want anything to have compromised that. So I really, I think, it's starting to feel like it was all worth it. And uh, I know it's not, everything in a life, but it's very meaningful to me. And I couldn't imagine having a situation that brings me as much peace and comfort and happiness. And I hope she feels similarly. Yeah. If she doesn't feel exactly the same, because how can two people ever feel exactly the have she's got all of her own spin on things. Fortunately, there's not at liberty to say what bad professional developments, but who knows? May lead to greater things. May open up some more time for other things. I might talk about at length when I am able to do so what has gone on. But yeah, really good. I wanted to leave talk about people. like if you are disabled and having trouble dating, for God's sakes, do the online thing nowadays. It is, I think, the where we are. The only thing that I would caution you against the online is if you can't read people very well initially. And for me, a lot of this stuff is on a profile, or like in the way that a person words the profile, or in the way even that how they might look in a certain photograph, and not like their looks, but the look in their eye, can often be indicative of certain character traits, or at least I've been able to pick up on this. Crunkerella, you know who that is, but she does. Crunkerella can attest to a time when she pulled out a number of her high school uh, classmates, many years after the fact, and we just went through these pictures, and I told her things about all of their character, um, uh, and I think I like out of like 12, I was off on one, and it was just because they had a really weird, like not a natural expression of themselves. So that kind of stumped me there. But otherwise than that, um, and I think it's like obviously like not everybody can do that, and I'm not saying that I'm 100% infallible in my character reads, but I'm pretty good. And but I think one needs to hone their skills, and maybe you can't get it off a profile or picture look, but after a couple video chats and a date or two, like if you can get your reads accurately, then that's good. And it's not the read is not so much about if they're a good or bad person, although like if they're really like yeah, if they're like kicking puppies, like fuck 'em, you don't want nothing to do with them, right? But like I mean like read to in terms of like if they're compatible for you. So like for me like if Sam had like like huge crowds and a lot of noise and big parties and you know droves and droves of people around constantly, pandemic aside, right? Like if that was her lifestyle, then like we probably wouldn't be a good I would not be a good match for somebody like that. I love uh my friends and family in the small, being able to be at the cafe and the community a little bit and having spots to be and people to see, but I don't like, even excluding pandemic numbers high and noise and lights and it's just it's too much. So, I wouldn't be good match for someone who's loud. The other thing that was helpful for the online dating, I think this rings true if you're a guy. I think the Bumble deal is a really good thing if you're a guy, because in Bumble, if you're a guy dating women, or aiming to date women rather, then the the women have to message first, right? So that's kind of really helpful because automatically there's some interest or not, versus like culturally we're kind of told as guys like, oh, we gotta make the first move, but with a lot of what's been coming out about what's going on, you don't want to be in this day and age a guy making the bad move and making somebody uncomfortable. So I think it's much nicer if a woman expresses, because even if you're not interested, right? Because I've like just to like relate to my own experience, right? Like I've, in at Charlie's, or well, yeah, that's only there's been a couple over the years like women that were like way older than me, and just drinking, right? This is not that it's happened a ton, but like kind of made me a little bit like I wasn't into it, and they weren't really reading like the vibe stuff like that, and it makes you a bit uncomfortable. But I've never been like nervous or scared. However, right, when a man has come on to me, and I'm not into men, but it's and not every man that's come on to me has been disrespectful. But a few have, but a few have been like cool. But there's still like that like um you're a little bit more afraid because like a man like you don't it does just doesn't feel as safe. So and imagine like women having to deal with that like all the time, right? So I think it's much better if we're in an environment where the woman is able to
initiate contact, and you can kind of go from there. It's not a perfect system, but I think it's better than guys reaching out and making people uncomfortable, and or people, making women feel threatened, right? Because I don't mind being a little ill at ease, but I don't ever want to feel threatened, and I don't want to make anybody, feel threatened in that way. It'd be awful, right? So, Bumble, strategy there. Ironically, I had used I put CP on my Tinder and my OkCupid, but on the Bumble I just left it aside. And I said, and all of them, I kind of gave a sense of what I was up to, you know, interests and, being an artist, stuff like that. And a funny thing, Sam said, me putting those things, she did assume there was some kind of disability, but not necessarily CP or something physical. So, like, okay, I'm doing this alternative stuff, so maybe I'm like somewhere on the mental illness spectrum, I think is probably what she was thinking. Um, and but I was very clear about the CP. Like as soon as we started talking, and based on what I experienced in November, I had to get it out there, like not as too big problem. And Sam was great. She's like, I don't have any experience, but I don't really see it being a problem. And the way she said that, the way even all the problems I had about the way she said that she didn't have a problem with it, made me feel like she really didn't have a problem with it. You know, and just as to the problems that I had at the end of last year, so it was on my OkCupid. So this silly person from last year, I had it advertised. She come over, right? She said, "Oh, geez, you're more disabled than what I realized. I don't know if this is going to work, right?" And then and me not having like, okay, you threw me a curve, and I made it clear, hey, look, like that makes me feel really shitty to hear that, right? But like I understand you're not, and then 2 weeks later, oh, by the way, you are too disabled, right? And so this is after advertising and all that. So and then it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, why would you have done that? Right? Why would like why after it's already been established? I told you I was uncomfortable. Why couldn't you say, I'm just not ready to see anybody right now, or I'm not feeling a romantic connection with you, or but not making it. But you made it about disability, so that's why I tailspin and had all these bad problems. But hey, you know what? It's worth it because I got to Sam and through Bumble, and so I recommend that if you're a guy. And like I said, I want to reiterate, get sort of good at having a general idea of people's character initially. It's not that you know every single trait I've seen, and also like know what negative quality, because none of us are perfect, of course, right? So everybody has like negative qualities, but know what type of negative qualities you can deal with. Like for me, if like somebody's into hard drugs or like just high drama, like crazy, like those are deal breakers. I can't live that lifestyle, right? So, but for some other people, well, fuck, you like a big party scene, maybe you like to do drugs and coke and whatever, and that's a fun thing. Well, hey, that's a positive. Wow, say that with a grain of salt, but uh, yeah. So I think I pulled this off better than when I know I'm rambling and all over the place. What I want to leave you with, I guess, is oh, two things. One, now that things are going so good, and I'm finally getting a shot at life and feeling happy and positive, and living close to my dream. I'm like, oh, geez, like what if I just like turn around and die tomorrow? You know, like that's the paranoia. It's like I never had this good. Is this even real? Is this possible? You know, but and it's not that it's just there and consumes me, but it does flutter through my mind. You know, regularly, let's say, and but then I kind of talk myself out of it, right? And I say, well, geez, like even if that did happen, even if you did happen, at least I had these 8 months now that I never ever thought I would get to have. The film got finished. Best relationship, greater than what I ever could have hoped for. I got that chance, and I'm living that life, and I just can't believe that happened for me. And as like, and trust me, I'm unique. Some people have tried to dispute me on this, but I gotta I got a friend who does Victor Borge tribute shows, classical music comedy, kind of a Monty Python, but more classical music involvement. I'd say that kind of vein. And this guy traveled all over the world. He's, Joshua, you're a very unusual person. I hope you don't take that the wrong way. No, buddy, you hit the nail on the head. And you're saying it like you went around seeing the shit. You're doing some unusual shit yourself, going around doing classical music comedy, right? So if you're saying this, then there's got to be something to it. So thank you for the validation of me being unique. I want to leave you with a weird kind of thing. Now, it came out in my last post as a believer in God. That has not changed. I just, always hope that I live closer to that ideal that I believe in. I never quite get it right, but, close to. So I wanted to talk about something with prayer. And this is just in terms of the positioning of your hands. So a lot of people pray like this. A lot of people pray like that there. But I think, and this is just something that just comes in my vibes. And if you don't fix your hair when praying, you can if you want, but that's not it. Here, this here, pray like this here. It doesn't matter where exactly they are. Like they could be lower or raised up, but not. You don't need to raise the roof here. But I think palms out front like that. I think that's a much more connected energy and I can feel it, right? And so I'm gonna recommend that for a prayer positioning for your hands. If you're you don't have to be in front of your face there, if you're just by yourself, nobody has to see you. So, but I think that's a much more connected way. So I'd encourage people to try that if they're interested. So yeah, happier than I've ever been. Can't believe it. Can't believe my great good fortune. And I hope it continues. I have felt for a long time that 2022 is going to be a hard year. So brace yourself, folks, because I think in certain respects it may be more difficult than 2020 and 2021. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a great year for everybody and there's no hiccups. But I think it's a big year. I think there's going to be some big things. I think there's going to be some good things, but I think there's going to be some tremendous challenge. So just brace yourselves and let's, try to remember the good things we have. And like I said, if you turn around for me, it can turn around for you. It's possible. So just keep at it. Keep going for it. Don't give up. Uh, yeah, maybe you'll get as lucky as I've been. You got to. It's if I got it, Jesus. Okay. All right. Ciao. Bye for now.